She stood in front of the mirror. Her hands trembled slightly. The dress was simple, elegant, not expensive, but dignified. For the first time in 7 years, she allowed herself something beautiful, not for him, for herself. Tonight, she would see him again, the man who left her in her darkest hour, the man who said she wasn't good enough. She closed her eyes. The memory was sharp, like a knife. 7 years ago, she wore different clothes, old clothes, worn out, faded. She stood at a charity event where he celebrated his success. His new company had just received millions in investment. Everyone congratulated him. Champagne glasses clinked. Laughter filled the air. He glowed with pride and triumph. And her? She stood in the corner, invisible. In that same skirt and blouse she had worn for 3 years. The fabric was thin from washing. The colors had faded long ago. He didn't even look at her, not once. Not until someone asked, "Is that your wife?" He glanced at her then. His eyes were cold, empty, like looking at a stranger, like looking at nothing. "Ex," he said. His voice was casual, dismissive. "We broke up. She's not at my level anymore." He smiled, that charming smile everyone loved. "I need someone who fits my lifestyle now." Laughter. Polite, uncomfortable. Pitying looks from the crowd. She stood frozen, like a statue. Couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Shame wrapped around her throat like hands squeezing tight. She was worth nothing, nothing. That night, she left silently. Didn't look back, didn't cry. Not yet. The tears came later. Alone in her tiny apartment, with 2 small children sleeping in the next room, she sat on the floor, back against the wall, and let the tears fall. Silent tears. Because she couldn't wake the children, she made a decision that night, a promise to herself. She would never feel this way again, never let someone else define her worth, never stand in a corner feeling invisible. But she didn't know then how hard it would be, how long the road would stretch ahead of her. The years that followed were hell, pure hell. She had 2 children, a boy and a girl, 6 and 4 years old. No support from their father, no family nearby to help, just her, alone. She worked during the day, cleaning offices. The pay was terrible, but it was all she could find. At night, she worked again. Online data entry, typing until her fingers cramped, until her eyes burned from staring at the screen. Sometimes she fell asleep on the floor, right there next to the children's beds, too exhausted to move. She would cover them with blankets, make sure they were warm, then collapse where she stood. The worst moments came late at night, when the children slept, when silence filled the apartment. That's when the doubts crept in. Dark thoughts, whispers in her mind. Maybe he was right. Maybe I really am worth nothing. Maybe I'll always be this way. Poor, struggling, invisible. She would sit there, staring at the wall, feeling the weight of it all. The bills she couldn't pay, the rent that was always late, the empty refrigerator, the holes in her children's shoes. But then morning would come. The children would wake up, smiling, laughing, running to hug her. "Good morning, Mama," full of love, pure love. They didn't see her failures, they just saw their mother, their hero. And something inside her would whisper back, stronger than the doubts, "No, you're not nothing. You're worth more than all his money, more than his success, more than his approval. You're worth everything to these children." That voice saved her. Again and again, she started studying. Late at night, after the children fell asleep, after her second job ended, she found free online courses, marketing, business management, Web design. She didn't know where it would lead, but she knew she had to try. The first year, she cried herself to sleep most nights, exhausted, overwhelmed, barely holding on. The second year, she stopped crying, just worked, pushed forward, one day at a time, one small step. The third year, something changed. She started believing, really believing, not just hoping. She got her first freelance project, small, just a website for a local shop. The pay was modest, but it was hers. She had earned it with her own skills. The fourth year brought more clients. Word spread slowly. She was good at what she did. Reliable. Creative. People recommended her. By the fifth year, she was managing small projects, leading teams. Still not wealthy. Still struggling sometimes. But different now. Stronger. More confident. The sixth year, she landed a contract with a medium-sized company. Real money. Enough to move to a better apartment. Enough to buy the children new clothes without checking price tags 3 times. By the seventh year, she led a team of 5 people. Not huge, not impressive by his standards, but hers. Built with her own hands, her own determination, her own worth. She didn't become a millionaire, didn't own a mansion, didn't drive a luxury car, but she owned something more valuable. Herself, her dignity, her strength, her peace. Then the invitation came. The same charity gala. 7 years later, her colleague insisted she attend. "You've earned this. You deserve to be there. Show them who you've become." She almost said no, almost threw the invitation away. The thought of seeing him again made her stomach twist. What if the old shame returned? What if she felt small again? But then she looked at her children. The boy was reading a book. The girl was drawing a picture. Both happy, both loved, both proud of their mother. She realized something important. This wasn't about him. It never was. This was about her. About proving to herself that she had truly changed, that the shame was gone, that she knew her worth. So she bought the dress. Simple, not designer, not expensive, but beautiful. It fit perfectly, made her feel strong. She ordered a car service, not a limousine, just a nice car. Clean, dignified. She stood before the mirror now, saw a woman looking back. Not the girl who once stood in the corner, a woman, transformed, reborn. The car pulled up to the entrance. She stepped out. The evening air was cool. Her dress moved gently in the breeze. Her children walked beside her, dressed simply but neatly, smiling, holding her hands. People turned to look, not because of the dress, because of how she carried herself. Back straight, head high, eyes clear, confident, dignified. She entered the hall, and there he was, standing at the bar with his new wife. Diamonds sparkled at her throat. Designer dress, perfect makeup, perfect everything. His business partners surrounded them, laughing, talking, celebrating. He saw her, did a double take, didn't recognize her at first. Then his eyes widened, recognition. Then his mouth curved into that familiar smirk, mocking, superior. He walked over, looked her up and down. "You?" He laughed. "You came here? In that?" His voice carried across the room. People stopped talking, turned to watch. "You're still trying to be somebody," he said, louder now, making sure everyone heard. "Look at my wife's dress. Cost more than you make in a year. And you show up here in that." He gestured at her dress dismissively. The room fell silent, uncomfortable, tense. All eyes on them. Her children squeezed her hands. She felt their support, their love. She looked at him, really looked, and saw something she hadn't seen before. He was empty, hollow, all his wealth, all his success, and still empty inside. She smiled, not with anger, not with bitterness, just smiled. Calm, peaceful. "You're right," she said quietly, but her voice carried, strong, clear. "My dress doesn't cost $1 million. My bag isn't designer. My car isn't the newest model." She paused. Let the words settle. "But my children know what love means. They saw me fight, saw me fall and get back up. They know the price of dignity. They know that a person's value isn't in their clothes or their bank account." She looked into his eyes. "You can't buy what I have. Peace, self-respect, children who see me as their hero, not because I'm rich, but because I'm strong, because I never gave up, because I chose to rise instead of fall." The silence was complete now. You could hear breathing. She turned, took her children's hands, walked toward the exit. Behind her, whispers began. "That's real strength. She's amazing. That's dignity." Even his wife had stepped away from him. He stood alone, face red, empty. She reached the car. The children climbed in, laughing. "Mom, you were incredible, like a superhero." Tears rolled down her face. Happy tears, free tears. She understood now. Real victory isn't about humiliating your enemy. It's about rising above their judgment, knowing your worth, living with dignity. She thought about you, the person hearing this story. "Do you know your worth?" she whispered. "Or do you let others define it?" She smiled. "Remember, your value isn't in your clothes, not in money, not in others' opinions. Your value is in how you rise after falling, in how you love, in how you choose to live." The car drove into the night. She looked at the stars, free, strong, whole, because she chose life, real life, her own life. And that was the best victory.